Hey everyone, Board Game Brody here with Let's Table It. I have a brand new copy of Dice Kingdoms of Valeria by Daily Magic Games. It's their newer roll and write game set in the Valeria universe. If you have played Valeria Card Kingdoms, this is like the roll and write version of that game. You will have similar guild symbols. Art is done by the Miko, similar to all the other Valeria games. You are rolling dice and using the results of each number, and then also the combination of the two. But then you're doing some different things in the sheets of papers in this game. Instead of grabbing resources or something, you're filling in different boxes. Anyways, let's table it. So everyone starts with the 2 sheets of paper. There are 6 statue cards placed out. These are cards that you can gain to get some of the in-game points and some one-time benefits throughout the game. The first player starts and will roll the 6 dice. Now, initially, players will ignore the color dice and will just look at the 2 gray or the 2 black dice. All players will be looking at these results and doing the harvest phase on everyone's turn using those 2 dice. This area in the yellow is the Citizen Guild track, and this is where the harvest phase mainly occurs. So all players will activate the Citizen of the matching values on each die, and then they will do the same with the sum of both dice. So potentially activating 3 different Citizens on a turn. You will then activate the Citizen if you have marked one of the symbols in that zone. So everyone starts the game with an area filled in on the 5 and one on the 6. And with time, more of these blank symbols will be filled in, and you potentially will be able to do more and more on these turns. So then you will count how many filled in symbols or boxes that you have in each of these zones. You will see what matching guild type is associated with that citizen, and then you will move down to that guild section and fill in the next box matching that guild type. If you have 2 icons filled in that citizen, then you will fill in 2 boxes in that guild. If the same number gets rolled and there are both boxes for that citizen filled in, then you will fill in 4 boxes total in that guild, plus if you have any boxes marked off in the citizen with the results added together. So again, everyone does this at the same time using the black dice. And when filling in the boxes, you will always fill them in from left to right and from top to bottom. Then the action phase happens, but this is only for the active player. They will choose to take the yellow action, or the red action, or the green action. Each of those dice will show the value associated with your chosen action, and the blue die is used to add its shown value to one of the 3 other colored dice, causing your chosen action to have 2 potential values that you can choose from. So let's start with the yellow die, which focuses on the recruit section. And this is how you will fill in more boxes on your citizens so that you can fill in more boxes in your guild areas. A player can then take more advantage of the black dice when they are getting rolled on anyone's turn and fill in more boxes while they go. The red die action is the Sleigh Action, and this is where you will fight monsters. And there are 4 monsters that you can decide to fight and fill in those boxes from left to right in the specific section. You will need the shown value to mark off a box in that section, and once all sections have all the boxes marked off, then you will gain the points listed. If you are the first to finish this, and you'll gain the top amount of points and tell everyone else that you did this, because they will mark off that top amount because only the first player gets it. Other players can then still fight the same monster on their sheets, but they will gain the lower amount of points when doing so. There are 4 levels of monsters, and points will increase according to the difficulty of that monster. The green die is the build action die, and you will mark the number of boxes matching the value of your green die, or the green plus the blue die, on the map area. And on this sheet is where you will build the roads to connect different domains. Once you hit a domain, you will circle it and gain that new ability shown on it. The remaining value is then wasted once you get to a domain or you hit a dead end. You, however, can be strategic with when you build your roads, where to begin with them, and using certain values when taking that action. Each domain you circle will get you 1 point at the end of the game, plus the additional abilities that they give you. And those are the main actions that you will be taking in the game. Now, as you fill in boxes, depending on the type of box that you fill in, you might continue filling in other boxes. And when filling in this symbol, you will mark the leftmost box of the citizens section of your choice. The yellow circle represents gold, and you will go to the gold section here, and after you collect 6 gold, you will fill in the plinth box, which lets you take one of the 6 face-up statue cards. These cards could give you immediate one-time benefits or could give you in-game scoring opportunities and things that you want to focus more on during the game that will give you these extra points. The green square will grant you to fill in a box on any of the roads, and this can be starting a new road or continuing one or whatever you have going on in that section, of course being strategic. The blue knight will let you fill in the next box on your wall. As you fill in the wall, you might come across the sleigh icon, and when you fill in that box, you can mark the leftmost box on a monster layer of your choice. Lastly, the star icon is one that you want to keep an eye out for. When this is filled in, it will grant you 1 point at the end of the game. Players will continue to take turns rolling dice and taking their turns until a player has filled in 3 of their guilds completely. At that time, the current round is then finished and players add up their points. And players will score 1 point for each filled in star, 1 point for each domain that they visited with their roads, points by slaying monsters, and lastly, players can gain up to 4 statue cards each, and each card will score differently and separately according to the filled in boxes on your player sheet. Players should focus as much as possible on gaining as many points as possible with each of these statue cards that they gain throughout the game. The player then with the most points wins the game. This game was a surprise hit for us, and the kids wanted to play the game again the next day and couldn't even wait for me to get home from work, so they played it all together, and they are 6 and 8. So I felt pretty proud of them that they're being able to play this game without my help after initially teaching it to them. Now I say that because this is not the easiest roll and write game to kind of understand, nor is it the heaviest that I've seen. It's in the middle spot, the sweet spot I would say, and as you play the game you will continue to have more and more combos where you're filling in more and more boxes and different types of boxes that will help you do many different things. But it can get hard to focus on what really matters, which is the stars, the domains, the coins to unlock statue cards to get, the most points that you can, and then the monsters. A lot of actions lead to the areas, but really you need to understand what gives you points in this game to do well. Now, this is a game that gives you a lot of options, and there are way more options that you can do on these sheets than you can actually do. No one is going to fill in every single box, so you will strategically focus on areas that might give you more points or overlapping areas like going after monsters, but then getting that statue card that rewards points for slaying monsters, or unlocking domains, and then doing so you are going to cross bridges, as many as possible, and then get the statue card that rewards you for crossing bridges. Lastly, I want to talk about building up your citizens so that you can gain more actions as those black dice are rolled. There becomes a point where you can do too much in this area and it won't benefit you as much as you think. What I've seen is not just focusing on one type of guild, but rather you need to make your chances wide so that you have ways to fill in all the guilds and to not focus on one specific type. Nothing feels worse than rolling those dice and seeing that you are stuck and you can't fill in a lot of boxes, especially near the late part of the game, where if you have filled in all the boxes in that guild, then your citizens for that guild become less important. This game right here provides clunky dice, taking actions on everyone's turns, and having lots of options in this roll and write game, and it's what makes it great. I'm also a big fan of the Valeria universe, and really this game hits so many boxes for me, and it wasn't too much for my kids as well. After helping them through it and teaching them how to play, they now know how to do it. And we all can feel satisfied filling in those boxes in our kingdoms. Ultimately, Dice Kingdoms of Valeria by Daily Magic Games will get to the table in our house.